Welcome to Minghui Radio's Falun Gong News, direct from China and around the world. Topics include news about the persecution of Falun Gong in China, local events, and special items of interest. Now for this week's stories.
Scandinavia. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi visited Finland and Norway from July 4th to July 6th. Falun Dafa practitioners held peaceful protest near the Finnish Parliament building, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Norwegian Prime Minister's official residence. They called for an end to the Chinese Communist Party's 27-year-long persecution and the state-sanctioned forced organ harvesting. Their activities caught the attention of mainstream media outlets in both countries and were praised by locals and tourists. Finland's largest public media organization and most influential mass media outlet, the Finnish Broadcasting Company, posted photos of the protest with the caption, "Falun Gong practitioners protest in front of the Finnish Parliament building during the Chinese Foreign Minister's visit." Falun Gong practitioners have been persecuted in China for many years. The Finnish newspaper, Iltalehti, posted an article stating that the CCP regime attempted to influence European countries and referred to experts about the challenge to Europe. In Norway, reporters from several media outlets went to the protest site and talked with practitioners before the press conference. Both the Norwegian Broadcasting Corporation and TV2 mentioned practitioners' protests in their reports that evening and broadcasted on-site footage and photographs. Many residents and tourists learned about Falun Gong while Wang visited Finland and Norway, and they encouraged practitioners to persist on their efforts.
The United States. July 4th, 2026 marks America's 250th birthday. A major celebration was planned on July 3rd in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the country's birthplace. The event was canceled because the temperature reached over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but undaunted by the heat, numerous groups, including Falun Dafa practitioners, performed in the city center at Independence Mall. Falun Dafa practitioners' performances garnered widespread attention from mainstream media. Major outlets including NBC 10, Fox 29, and WHYY Public Radio featured photos and videos of the practitioners' parade float, the Tianguo marching band, and the waist drum team in their news coverage. Notably, the WHYY website used an image of the Tianguo marching band and waist drum team as their main header for its news homepage, while Fox 29 used the practitioners' float as the thumbnail image for its video report. Local journalists and social media influencers shared videos of the Falun Dafa group, drawing broad interest from online audiences.
Canada. A grand march and group Falun Gong exercise demonstration took place on July 12th in the city of Vancouver to raise awareness of the Chinese Communist Party's 27-year-long persecution of the practice. Impressed by the sight of so many people doing the exercises together in front of the Vancouver Art Gallery, many people took pictures and videos and talked with practitioners. Many who read the banners and posters signed the petition calling to end the suppression. Passerby Carlos Calderon said, "This evil cannot be allowed to remain a secret." A woman from China said that every time she travels, she looks for practitioners at tour sites and reads their materials because she cannot find this information in China. She said, "What you have been doing means a lot, and I'm very touched."
Malaysia. A Falun Gong rally was held on July 5th in the Malaysian state of Johor to call on the public to help stop the human rights abuses against practitioners by the CCP. July 20th marks the 27th year of the ongoing persecution. Practitioners provided informational materials and clarified the facts about how the CCP suppresses Falun Gong. As night fell, practitioners held a silent vigil, holding lotus lanterns to mourn the practitioners in China who lost their lives due to the persecution. Banners and paintings exposing the persecution were also on display. Many passers-by expressed their sympathy at the events and signed the petition calling for an end to the egregious, state-sanctioned forced organ harvesting committed by the CCP.
Italy. Falun Dafa practitioners from across Europe held activities in the city of Rome on June 27th and 28th to raise awareness of the CCP's human rights abuses and called on all circles of society to help end the atrocities. A rally took place at Piazza Vittoria on June 27th, followed by a candlelight vigil at Villa Borghese Park in the evening, remembering those who were persecuted to death for their unwillingness to renounce their practice of Falun Dafa. Leaders of various Italian political parties and members of the Italian Parliament wrote to the Italian Falun Dafa Association to express their solidarity with practitioners. They called on the Italian authorities and European Union institutions to take a firm stand and concrete action to end the persecution and to uphold freedom of belief and thought. They further pledged to stand firmly with Falun Gong practitioners in halting the CCP's persecution.
Singapore. Practitioners of Falun Gong, also known as Falun Dafa, held an event in Hong Kong Lim Park on July 7th to mark 27 years of persecution by the Chinese Communist Party. The day's activities included exercise demonstrations, an artwork exhibition that exposed the persecution, and display boards and banners about the cultivation practice. In the evening, practitioners held a candlelight vigil to remember those who've died from the persecution. Many people from China stopped to talk and decided to quit the CCP. One of them was a man who said that for years, he has circumvented the CCP's internet firewall and has been able to read reports by media outside China. 2 years ago, he read Zhuan Falun, the main book of Falun Gong, online, and he shared, "I believe in principles like karma and improving one's character, as written in the book." The following are selected cases of persecution of Falun Gong practitioners in China. A 50-year-old woman in the city of Harbin was sentenced to 3.5 years with a 10,000 yuan fine in June for exposing ongoing persecution by the Chinese Communist Party of her faith, Falun Gong. Ms. Lin Jinli was arrested while vacationing when she bought a cell phone and sent 2 text messages about Falun Gong. The local police tracked her down and arrested her. More than 10 police later traveled over 1,200 miles to Harbin to search her home. The police did not find any Falun Gong materials. They seized a device which they allege Ms. Lin used to block cell phone signals. Upon returning to their hometown, the police called Ms. Lin's brother numerous times, demanding to know if he had sheltered his sister's Falun Gong materials. Ms. Lin is still being held at the detention center. During her first 3 days of being detained, she went on hunger strike in protest, and she was later forced to study materials defaming Falun Gong.
A 72-year-old woman in Harbin City was ordered to return 360,000 yuan of pension payments she had received over an 18-year period simply because she was deemed no longer eligible due to her faith in Falun Gong. Since the Chinese Communist Party ordered a nationwide persecution campaign to eradicate Falun Gong in July 1999, Ms. Zhang Yifan, a retired employee, has been repeatedly targeted for upholding her faith. She was arrested in 2001 and later sentenced to 4 years. Following her last arrest, she was given another 3 years and was released last year. In 2023, Ms. Zhang's pension was canceled. Her husband's low retirement income was not enough to support them, so their children provided additional financial support. In May, she received a letter from the Social Security Center demanding that she return the pension issued to her, which they claimed was a mistake. The letter provided no legal basis or explanation for the decision. A month later, they demanded that she return all funds.
A married couple in Jilin province have been subject to constant harassment by the local authorities after serving 4 years for practicing Falun Gong. A Judicial Bureau employee showed up at Ms. Ai Kuijia's home numerous times. They took a photo against her will and ordered her to sign and fingerprint various documents. Later, a police officer came and recorded a sample of her voice, fingerprints, toe prints, height, and weight. He even ordered her to lick a little box to collect saliva for DNA records. 1 week later, the village head called Miss Ai and demanded the ID numbers of her husband, Mr. Ding Luyi, and their son. She refused to comply. In prison, the couple were physically tortured and made to attend brainwashing classes led by former Falun Gong practitioners who quit the practice while in prison.
Mr. Chen Qing's son and friends lost contact with him in July 2024 and learned 2 months later that he was arrested again for practicing Falun Gong. They found out recently that he was admitted to prison in late December to serve a 3.5-year term. Mr. Chen, in his 60s, lives alone in Jiangxi province and has been repeatedly targeted since the persecution of Falun Gong began. He was given an unknown term of forced labor in early 2002. His wife struggled to care for their young son while working full-time to support the family. Following that, he was repeatedly targeted over the years by authorities. His wife's health declined due to the stress and died in the early 2020s. In 2023, several officials from the local political and legal affairs committee warned him not to go to Xi'an after they discovered he was going to pass through the city to attend his son's wedding. At that time, central government leaders were scheduled to visit the capital city of Jiangxi province.
A seminar on organ harvesting atrocities in China is held in the British Parliament building. A seminar called Understanding Chinese Leadership took place at Portcullis House at the UK Parliament on July 8th. The chairman of the event, former Conservative leader Sir Ian Duncan Smith, pointed out that the CCP is not only a threat to the Chinese people, but also to the free world. He stressed that the communist regime ignores its promises made in international treaties, exemplified by its treatment of Hong Kong. Recently, it introduced the Ethnic Unity Law, which carries extraterritorial effect and extended its repression outside of China. Sir Ian warned that the West should not ignore the CCP's values and conduct, which are very different from the West. Guest speakers included Dr. David Matas, Jan Jekielek, and Ethan Gutmann. The seminar was highly anticipated and was attended by members of Parliament and many others. Dr. Matas urged that human rights issues be prioritized in intergovernmental conversations. Jan Jekielek, New York Times best-selling author of the book Killed to Order, explained that in the eyes of the CCP leadership, a majority of its citizens are treated as potential raw material for organ transplantation. He said, "This is industrial scale. This is 60 to 90,000 transplants a year." Mr. Jekielek advised that the public not have an idealized view of the CCP. He cautioned that the Chinese authorities are still seriously considering building a giant Chinese embassy in London, in a very strategic place, which is a potential way for China to tap into the UK's data streams, and also those of the United States, Canada, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand. Respected human rights investigator Ethan Gutmann presented his new book, The Xinjiang Procedure, at the seminar. The book provides the latest compelling evidence that state-sponsored organ harvesting from prisoners of conscience continues unchecked in China. Mr. Gutmann said that there's a schism in the medical community on how to deal with organ harvesting in China, and he advocated that there be no contact with China until they change their policy. He said that the company Thermo Fisher once sold about 10 million DNA kits to Beijing to use on the Uyghurs, and that the Western commercial technology firms have unknowingly become complicit in China's organ harvesting. He called on governments to mandate legislation to prevent such crimes from taking place. He urged Britain to avoid the Chinese market entirely and build a strong US-UK alliance in the face of energy and geopolitical crises. A King's Counsel and board member of the Human Tissue Authority spoke at the seminar. The representative clarified that according to the new regulation enacted in 2024, the UK's mandatory reporting of overseas organ transplantation is more prevalent than most people know. He told attendees that they currently receive several overseas transplants reports every month. He said that if they find or suspect serious crimes involving forced organ harvesting in China or other countries, they will report it directly to the highest level of the UK police force and urge it to launch an urgent and thorough criminal investigation. Falun Gong practitioners held an event outside Parliament to further expose the Chinese regime's ongoing persecution of prisoners of conscience.
German lawmaker urges action to stop forced organ harvesting in China. The award-winning documentary State Organs: Unmasking Transplant Abuse in China was screened in Halle Koning-Ludwig in the city of Recklinghausen, North Rhine-Westphalia, on June 28th. The event was supported by prominent public officials, including a member of the German parliament and council representatives from the city of Recklinghausen. Audience members were shocked to learn of this severe persecution taking place in China and expressed their respect for Falun Gong practitioners. A panel discussion following the film took place. Member of the Federal Parliament, Max Lux, first thanked the audience for attending, despite the intense summer heat, and praised everyone willing to stand in support of human rights. The lawmaker said that Germany must exert greater pressure on countries like Communist China and that this issue must move forward as quickly as possible. Deputy Mayor of Recklinghausen, Claudia Schwepp, said in her speech, "The documentary State Organs is profound and deeply thought-provoking. Without question, it will leave every viewer deeply moved. With chilling clarity, it reveals the systematic operation of organ trafficking in Communist China, along with the unimaginable human suffering hidden behind it." She expressed particular gratitude to the organization Doctors Against Forced Organ Harvesting and said, since 2006, this international nonprofit, non-governmental organization has spared no effort in combating illegal organ trafficking. Through advocacy, networking, and political engagement, its dedication is beyond measure. After watching the film, Christian Herrler was interested in reading the book Falun Gong. He said, "I've never heard of Falun Gong before and did not know they suffered persecution and physical abuse for their beliefs. To me, this represents a whole new level of systematic killing driven by economic and political motives, and this makes me really angry. Such an atrocity should never happen anywhere. It is truly appalling." He added, "I believe this is not merely a situation concerning China. One of the messages this film conveys is about taking action. People must stand up and loudly say, 'Stop.'" An attendee at the event, Felix, had not seen any reports about the persecution of Falun Gong issue in German news. Earlier that day, Felix had learned the Falun Dafa exercises and said the experience felt very beneficial. "Even just this one session made me feel that I benefited tremendously. I cannot understand why the CCP persecutes Falun Gong. For a regime to do something like this simply because it fears losing power is completely absurd. Those in charge are murderers. They are criminals." He mentioned a scene in the film where a military police officer recounted witnessing a female teacher being subjected to forced organ harvesting while still alive. Felix expressed great admiration for the practitioner who, while still conscious and enduring extreme pain, continued to say, "Falun Dafa is good." He said, "This came from her firm belief in Falun Gong, and it truly moved me deeply. It feels as though a person's greatest power comes from within their heart and the source of life.
Experience sharing conferences strengthen practitioners' resolve to cultivate diligently. The 2026 Southeastern United States Falun Dafa Cultivation Experience Sharing Conference was held at the Emory Student Center in Atlanta, Georgia, on July 11th. Practitioners from Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and other southern states attended the conference. 25 practitioners talked about their cultivation journeys and how they shared information about Falun Dafa with others. They also expressed their gratitude for Master's protection and compassionate guidance. Attendees said they were inspired and touched by their fellow practitioners' righteous thoughts and actions. Mr. Sun from Atlanta described how he remembered to maintain righteous thoughts while he helped promote Shenyun. He said, "When facing new tasks, we should be confident and maintain righteous thoughts. We'll be blessed with wisdom and capabilities when we work hard and believe we can get things done. The initial wish isn't enough when the tasks are challenging. Many difficulties arise in the process, so we have to persist and maintain righteous thoughts. It isn't until you make it through the hardest time that things turn in the right direction, and you have the feeling of being able to accomplish the seemingly impossible." Falun Dafa practitioners from the greater Washington, D.C. area also gathered for an experience-sharing conference on July 11th in Rockville, Maryland. 16 practitioners talked about how they applied the principles of truthfulness, compassion, forbearance in their lives. By looking inward to improve themselves and treating others with kindness, they've been helping people learn about Falun Dafa and the ongoing persecution by the CCP. Practitioners expressed gratitude for the practice, for its founder, Master Li, and for one another. A practitioner named Ms. Yao contacts the Pentagon to introduce Shenyun to staffers every season that the performers tour Washington, D.C. She describes the arduous process of getting into the secured space and setting up. It involved a police body search, a canine sweep, and a driver's license check to obtain a pass, which she needed to present to specialized personnel at another location to get the equipment transported to the setup destination. She added, "Then I have to park my car, get there on the subway, and enter the building through the tourist entrance and the security check. The entire procedure takes over 2 hours. After I set up the table, chair, and television, I'm often exhausted. At the end of the day, I have to do all the same procedures to get back out." Looking back, Ms. Yao thanked other practitioners for their selfless collaboration and help. She shared, "I often remind myself that whether promoting Shenyun or doing other projects, I have to do my best." Master talked about doing but without pursuit in Abiding in the Tao from the book Hong Yin. As long as we go out, Master will help bring people to us so they can learn the facts, Ms. Yao affirmed. In Taiwan, Falun Dafa coordinators met on July 4th and 5th at the Qiantan Youth Activity Center in Taipei to read the Fa and discuss their cultivation experiences. 14 cultivators volunteering as coordinators talked about taking responsibility, improving the group cultivation environment, overcoming complacency, letting go of various attachments, and improving their character through introspection and selfless cooperation. Coordinator Xu Lian believes that the most important aspect of the role is not coordination or management, but rather accompanying fellow practitioners as they walk the path of cultivation. During the 2-day Fa study and experience-sharing meetings in Taiwan, numerous coordinators shared their heartfelt insights regarding Fa study, looking inward, and coordination and cooperation. Through these exchanges, they inspired one another and strengthened their confidence in making diligent progress and improving together.
Thank you for listening to the Minghui Radio Podcast. For more information, including news about the persecution of Falun Gong practitioners in China and experience-sharing stories by practitioners around the world, please visit our website at en.minghui.org.